The year was 1985. I was driven, just graduated from dental school. We moved to Donna's hometown, Peoria, Illinois, and I was going to be successful. I had goals, and I was going to meet them. For the next 9 years of my life, I ate, breathed, and lived dentistry. Drill and fill was everything in my life. I had goals, I was meeting them. We had over 100 new patients a month coming through, and it was a great time. I think we're waiting for our...
We're on here.
All right. There we go. Everything was going so well in our life. We had our kids. Life was good.
And he did have his mind back at the office 24/7. And that included Sabbath morning. I can remember sitting in that long pew. Rod has his head on the pew in front of him. The kids are running around on the floor. And I looked at him, I said, I know where he's at. He's not sitting here in church. He's back at the office, the place that he loved. And the thoughts start consuming me. What are we doing as a family? On our way home, I was looking out the side window because I wanted to hide my tears from my children. All I could think about is, where do we go from here? And is this all there is? As a cradle Adventist, I come to the realization that there has to be more. And that's where Rod and I began to realize it's time to do something different.
And Donna began by just simply studying. When that happened, I looked at her and I could see the tears. And I mean, it literally was tears. Donna, what's going on? And there's got to be more. And
on our way home then, it was like, hey, Rod, I think I want to buy a new Bible. We were up here at Andrews. I said, let's just swing into the old ABC that used to be here. And I want to pick up a new Bible. You know, something more than something that would look nice on the end table by our sofa. Something that would be more than part of my Sabbath dress. Something that would really, really soak me in. And I began Genesis 1:1, and I can tell you, I realized for the first time, the God that created the whole world, he could recreate me. I'm moving along through Genesis, and I just realized as I was mocking the children of Israel, wanting to go back to Egypt, I was just like them. Let's face it, sin can be a lot of fun. And that's what I was thinking. And then as I went further and on into Exodus, this is after Abraham, you know, all he gave Hagar was a bottle of water, and that's all man can offer us, is something that has a beginning and an end, whereas God offered her a full well. And that's what I wanted. I'm ready for the well. On into Exodus, I see where the children of Israel brought a lamb. They weren't the lamb. No, they brought the lamb. There are none of us that can be that perfect, unblemished sacrifice. Yeah. And God began to convert my whole soul. And I have to tell you, the first step of church planting, it's about conversion. It's about personal conversion, because everything else will fade over time. The excitement, the highs, the lows, all of those things are part of church planting, and I love them. I'm so glad that they've been a part of my life for the past 30 years. But without a personal conversion, I would have walked away a long time ago.
And you know, when I started seeing that conversion that was coming in there, I realized that, and Donna came to me and she said, Rod, do you recognize what's going on here? Do you recognize that we are not the sacrifice? We bring the sacrifice. We are not the perfect one. We have to rely on God to be that perfect one. And so as we realized that, I started seeing her life change, and it began to change me 9 years into my practice. And I began to realize that there was more to life than drill and fill. As I saw her life beginning to change, one day I remember walking into the office manager's office, and I walked in and there was tears coming down her face. And I said, What's going on? And she started telling me about things in her life, and I said, without God in your life, these things are never going to change. I just blurted it out. I had 20 years of Adventist education. I was 37 years old. I had never once given a Bible study to someone that wasn't an Adventist. I just said, without God in your life, it's never going to change. And she said, well, would you mind maybe doing a study with my husband and I, maybe you and Donna? And I said, well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, I was thinking of an elder in the church that he had done some, but I just kind of said, sure. She went out and talked to the assistant office manager, who also said, I don't know anything about the Bible at all. Do you think they'd mind if my husband and I came too? This little Bible study, it grew from 4 people to about 12 people, their family and others that were in there. And all of a sudden, it changed my life. Drill and feel has never been the same again. If you want to reinvigorate your studies, and some of you that are out here, I know all of us, if we all have the enthusiasm, excitement, but if you are getting burnout in your life and ministry, find someone to study with. It makes such a difference to see people's lives changed. And that's all I could talk about at that point. And I remember our life, I could hardly wait for that next Bible study each week. And we happened to be going on a mission trip with Jim Brower, our conference president. And he was like, hey, what's going on? And I was telling him all about the Bible study. And then he did something to me that it set me back. He said, Rod, you and Donna consider maybe planting a church? I'm like, doing what? First off, we have no training. Secondly, I got no time. And so I said no. He came back a second time. We said no. He came back a third time. And we finally felt as though God was calling us to an incredible experience that has lasted to this day today.
But the office continued to grow, and so did our demands. And it was at that time my husband prayed the most incredible prayer I've ever heard him pray. And I believe it is the prayer of any lay pastor whose finances, well-being depends upon them. What was that?
Yeah, I just said, Lord, you're the creator of time. Create me some time. The practice had grown. We were so busy, and I remember Donna coming back and trying to remind me that we also had a family and we had things going on in our lives, and we needed to have some balance. And I felt impressed that I should just hire maybe another dentist, and that went to 2 and 3 and eventually 8 dentists. And not only did the practice grow, but I had more time. We got together with our little group, and we decided, I asked them, would you like to start a church, or maybe meet on a Saturday morning? And they were like, yeah. So we started 1995, January 6th.
We're kind of antiques up here. I hope that's okay.
Give you a little bit of a history. 1995, January 6th of 1995, it's been 30 years now. We started our first Sabbath program in the waiting room of our dental office. We didn't have anything else. We didn't have a place to meet, but I did have a dental office, and it was heated, so we took the furniture out and put a little pew up front, not a pew, but a podium, and we had a little church service. And it grew from there, and I remember one time, I'll tell you this quickly because we're going to run out of time, and how do you talk about 5 minutes. Yeah, we got 5 minutes, so we're just going to fast forward into this. We knew that we needed to have a call. And by this time, we had quite a few people that were attending. And I asked our conference president, or our ministerial secretary, rather, Ken Dinslow was his name. He's now the union president, about to retire. But we had asked him, to come and to have an altar call, because we needed one. He didn't come. We were outgrowing our building, and there was a small building, we were outgrowing the church, our little building, and we were looking around for a place to start a church.
Well, what was happening here is we had been doing church in the waiting room of our dental office. And the key I want you to know about that is, hey, it didn't cost us anything. The building was being heated 7 days a week. The building it didn't increase our insurance. We owned the building. And that's just something I want you to know when it comes to planting a church and looking for a location. Many of your professional people, they own their office building, their office space. And so it was a perfect place for us to begin. And what we learned from there is, yes, Peter had a boat. We had an office. Start where you are, with what you have, with who you have. So many times we wait around for a perfect someone or a perfect something. Start where you are, with what you have, with who you have, and God will take you from there. The other thing about conversion I just want to share with you as lay pastors, we are constantly watching what's happening financially. I mean, yesterday sitting here, one of our offices flooded, another office, it's just all the problems that come every day that we deal with. And it's so easy to think that what we do, our works, is what will make that church grow. Because that's how it is in the office. That's what we do as a living. But when it comes to spiritual growth, it's not about us. And that's the conversion story I just so desperately want you to hear today, because we can't rely on anything or anyone except Him.
So fasting forward, we began to look for a place for a church building. And I think this is important for everyone here because it really did help. We felt the calling that was there. We truly felt the calling. We knew that God had called us to. And Elton, I am so jealous because what we had to get started with in 1995, Al McClure just had a call for church planting. And we found out that there wasn't really any lay pastors planting churches for sure. And so we had been given a manual on how to plant a church in the middle of Chicago.
It was a Polish manual. A Polish manual. Here's how you plant a church in Chicago.
And that was our beginning. But we searched around because we had outgrown the space. And as so many have said, trying to find a location is difficult. We found this old school building, and it was completely empty. And so it was a 30,000 square foot building, but we're at a company status. That's all we were, and a company can't purchase a building. So we didn't know what we were going to do. We thought we'd just rent space there. We went up, and that Saturday night, we had a meeting with our group, and our adult lesson teacher was not yet a baptized member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. He was converted, but not baptized. I was still waiting for a call. And so I tried to explain to the group that was there. I was like, the adult lesson teacher, we had just talked about stepping into the water and going across the Jordan. And he said, I know what we need to do. We just need to step in the water and go across. We need to buy this building. And I said, well, you can't do that because we're at a company status. And in the organization, you have to be at a church status. And he said, well, what's it take to become a church? And I said, well, they look at the members you've had and how many people are attending the tithe base and, the number of baptisms you've had. And he says, what's it take to be baptized? And you got to raise your hand. And he raised his hand, looks at his wife, who raised her hand, who looks at her daughter, who raises her hand, who looks at the son, who raises her hand. We had 8 people that night raise their hand for baptism. That was my first altar call.
By the way, the building then, I've got 3 seconds and counting. The building, I just really want you to know this also because this is how God worked in it. It's the building we found, the schools, the public schools had consolidated, and so they had an empty building. We walked through it. Rod was looking for a room to rent. I was thinking a little bit more. And by the time we got through it, the janitor showed us the building. He said, hey, look, this place is going up for auction in just a couple of days. And we got together with our group and said, hey, what are we going to do? And everybody said, hey, let's step into the water. That's what newborn babes do. They step into the water. The more seasoned ones, we step back, and they're stepping forward. Yeah. And we need to make a bid. Well, the minimum bid was $150,000. Again, the 16 classrooms, full kitchen, 5 acres, baseball diamonds, and we said, okay, we're gonna make the minimum offer. But there was a little leak in the roof. We want them to fix that, so we'll throw in a few contingencies. We did, and when it went forward, we were the only one that made the bid. So that became our church building.
Well,
and I just. Go ahead.
What we didn't realize at the time that we did this, I had called my dad up and I said, Dad, we have followed the guidelines of the conference so much, but we just did something. We got to understand how it all happened. And he said, well, son, that's not a problem. Let's just buy it privately, and then we'll rent it to the church, and they're just renting a facility. And when the time is right, when you become a church, we'll just donate it to the church. We did. When we donated it to church, what we didn't realize is that when you get an appraised value, when you have it evaluated, what you get to write off of taxes is the appraised value. It appraised at $850,000, which means we saved more in taxes than the building costs in the first place. God is good. He always has a way. I don't know how. He just does it.
This quick little letter here is just a story as we talk about our circle that includes our family. Our extended church is our office. I want to talk a moment, and I think I did. I showed them this here. This was a letter.
So I want to talk about this for a minute, because if we look at when we're looking at this circle that we have, it's our circle that is everything that is within us. 30 years later, I got to tell you, church planting and lay pastoring has changed our lives from the beginning to now. And I've implemented things in my office that I didn't do. I'm having worship with my staff that are in there. They just gave me a plaque that was a pastor's appreciation week or day or whatever it is. And they give me the plaque and they say, you're our pastor. We want to be there. We have prayer with them. I have prayer with patients. And they on their own came, and one day I walk into the office and they're playing Christian music. I'm like, okay. And they said, hey, we all got together and decided we need to play Christian music here. And it has made such a difference in our life. I have 2 congregations. We have our congregation at the church, but part of our circle is also my office. And it has been so incredible. We've had baptisms through there. It's been quite a time, and it has absolutely changed our lives.
We're overdue. Just real quick. We wanted our small congregation to grow in compassion. And so came this last Christmas, Child Impact International made us aware of the families in Pakistan. If they cannot pay their medical bills, they have to go to work for the brick kiln. And there was a family there of 8, and for $4,000, we could buy their ransom. And of course, how that connects with us spiritually is enormous. And I got to tell you, when this little church put together $4,000, and everybody said, we'll do a little less for Christmas so they can have their freedom. And when that took place, these are the things that grow your church, that help you realize you are a global movement. You know, the sisterhood of churches, we talk about that. I'm talking about the world. The world is our church, and compassion is what will draw them. I think we're done. Oh, one more thing I just want to share with you. Our conference trusted us. Our conference trusted us. We kept going to them. What more do you want? Do you want more statistics? Do you want more reports? What do you want? What do you want? Rod and Donna, you guys just keep going forward. And the negative things that happened around us, which they will happen, our conference president said, hey, listen, we're going to handle the negative. I just want you guys to focus on the positive. Keep going, keep going. And that meant so much to us.
You know, I want to close with an example of this, because I believe this is so important. One day I was at work, and my office manager, who's now was baptized and a part of our church and with kids, and we were doing life very, very close to them. And all of a sudden somebody came to me and said, the office manager had just dropped the phone, and she ran out saying her baby was on the bottom of the pool, her 3-year-old. We immediately stopped. I got one of the other docs to finish up what I was doing. We went there, and the live flight, the helicopter was just flying off. We went and met them at the emergency room. And you can only imagine, I know many of you maybe have experienced this when they stop and they start pulling all the tubes away. Devastating. And I got a call. We got a call. We're crying. We don't know what to do. I mean, we're lay pastors. Are you kidding me? We got a call. It was our conference president. By now, Ken Denslow, he's now the conference president. He says, Rod and Donna, I'm on my way down. I said, kid, that's good, but it's probably not a good time for them. I don't know if you'll even be able to meet with them. And he said, I'm not coming for them. I'm coming for you. You know, church planting can be tough. What we've learned in 30 years is it's not an individual thing. It's not even just a single congregation thing. It's not even just a pastor's holding each other up. Without the conference support, we can't do it. I'm so jealous to see the
I know, I'm ready to move
lay
to
pastor
Texas.
training program and
I know.
and to have all that and where we're at now. So exciting to see all the lay pastors all around, and it's so good to see. But let's always remember that we are a team. We lift each other up in prayer. We go forward. We are each other's cheering section. And I hope that when we get to heaven, that maybe there'll be just a few more there because we existed. It's our prayer. Thank you.